Hello students, welcome back. Previously, we were discussing on the absorption of the water in the plant physiology or in the plants. The absorption was the phenomena in which the water is just transferred from the soil to the plants. Particularly from the soil, the water is absorbed or reached to the xylem of root. Suppose this is the soil. Suppose we are having the soil here and the water reaches up to the roots. Suppose these are the roots. So particularly in the roots, the absorption doesn't mean that it is just touching the plant and that will be called absorption. We are well aware of the anatomy that we have discussed in the previous semesters. In the root anatomy, there presents a tissue in the vascular tissue system. There is a tissue xylem. The tissue xylem is responsible for the absorption as well as the transport of the water, because it's a very important tissue in the plants that transports the water as well as the minerals. So once the water will reaches into the xylem of root, that process will be called absorption. And after the absorption, once the absorption will be achieved, once the water will be filled inside the xylem of roots, so there is a network of the xylem throughout the plant, in the main stem, in the branches, in the leaves, and all over the leaf. The veins which are shown, those are the xylem and phloem. Okay, once the water will reaches into the xylem of the root, so it will be move further upward. It will move further upward into the stem as well as the leaves. Okay, so this flow is always unidirectional. Be remember, this flow is always unidirectional. Water will move from the xylem of root to the stem and the leaf, to the leaf via stem. This process is called transport of water. The transport of water will occur through the xylem because there is a network of the xylem inside. Always the water move from the roots to the upper parts of the plant. So particularly from the root xylem to the upper parts of the plant, the movement of water will be called transport of the water. Okay, let's just discuss it in detail. So here we are, as I discussed earlier, the upward movement of the water from the xylem of roots to the transpiring leaves is called transport of water. We write this word transpiring just to give information about the valid point in the transport. Because the transpiration force, this I have already discussed in the passive absorption, that for the absorption, the transpiration is crucial. Similarly, that time I have also told you that in the transport also, the transpiration plays the most important role. The process of evaporation of the water from the surface of leaves by the effect of sunlight or by the effect of sun. Okay, I'm again repeating, the evaporation of the water from the surface of leaves through the stomata mainly. Whenever the water diffuses out into the environment due to the influence of the sun, that process is called transpiration. This transpiration is harmful because it is transpiring much of the water, approximately 98% even, generally 90 to 95%. But up to that much extent, whatever be the water absorbed or transported in the plant, that is being again go into the environment. So it's a kind of wasteful process, but it is also necessary. Although it is harmful because it is just moving so much amount of the water in the environment from the plant, it is making the plant dry. Okay, not exactly we can say dry, but kind of lack of the water from the plant, because the water is lost through the transpiration. So it is harmful, but with that it is also useful. It is also necessary. Why it is necessary? Because all the absorption and the transport, means the movement of water, occurs through this force, that is the transpiration force. And this force is not a direct driven energy by the biological organisms, means transpiration does not uses any ATP. So it is a passive process. Okay, the energy of the plant itself is not expenditure in the process of transpiration. That's why it is a passive process. So we were on the movement of the water or the transport of water. So the upward movement of water from the xylem of roots to the upper parts, mainly the leaves, which are transpiring, which are in a state of transpiration, means during the daytime. The maximum transport of water occurs during the daytime. This definition cleared that thing, because the transpiration occurs only the daytime, during the daytime. That's why the transport of water also occurs mainly during the daytime. The 95% of the water transport during the daytime. That data is same as the absorption is also taking place. The 95% of the absorption was also taking place during the transpiration. So both of them, the passive absorption as well as the passive transport, done through the transpiration. So summarizing the things very clearly or very easily, the transport of water is just the movement of water from xylem of roots to the upper part like leaf. Xylem is the main responsible tissue which is responsible for the transport of water, because in the xylem, particularly the vessels and tracheids, okay, there are the two types of cells, the vessels, the broad vessels, okay, and the narrow tracheids. Anatomically, you must have studied those characters of these things, okay, that what are the vessels and what are the tracheids. These two types of the cells are called trachary elements, and these trachary elements are just mean for the conduction of the water. The water keep on conducting, absorbed as well as the moved or the transported through the xylem tissue. The water movement is unidirectional. This I have also concluded. The water can never be moved from the leaves to the stem. Okay, this thing you should remember, the water cannot move from the leaves to the stem or the root. The direction of the water is always unidirectional, that is from the roots to the leaves. Okay, we can say it is a downward to upward direction. These are the roots, this is the stem, these are the canopy or the leaves. The water always move from downward to upward, from roots to the branches. Due to the transpiration, the water can be uplifted up to the height of more than 150 meter, or you can say up to even 500 feet. That 500 feet is very much or very enough. The tallest plant in this world are generally 400 feet. The tallest plant are Sequoia sempervirens, the redwood tree of the California. Okay, in the California state, there are some trees which are called redwood trees, the common name or the traditional name, and the botanical name are Sequoia sempervirens. It is a gymnosperm. Generally, the normal varieties are also grown from 250 feet to up to 450 feet. Okay, or you can say from 50 meters to generally 150 meter. So up to that extent of height, up to that much of height, the water can easily transported even against the gravitational pull. See, on influence of the earth have its gravitational pull. Everything is being pulled upon the gravity. So even against this gravitational pull, the water is still capable of being transported to the upward direction. Okay, suppose a plant is 400 feet. So up to that much height, the same water that is being absorbed through the soil, the same water is reaching to the such height without any external energy, without any electric energy, or even the expenditure of the biological organism itself. The plant even itself does not expenditure any energy in transporting water to such heights. That energy is available due to the transpiration. Whenever the transpiration occurs, whenever the sunlight is available and the process of transpiration is going on, due to that force, that is transpiration, the water is itself absorbed as a negative pull. Okay, due to water potential gradient, water keeps on moving on the upside. Suppose there is a cell, there is a cell. If the cell 1 is present upper to the cell 2, as the diagram show, if cell 1 is present here, cell 2 is present here. If the cell 2 is having more water potential and cell 1 is having lower water potential, so this is must, or this is of course, that water will move from 2 to 1. So due to this principle, the water potential keep on decreasing as we move upside. The water keep on moving because the water potential is maximum in the soil. That's why from the soil the water move inside the xylem, that is called absorption. And in the xylem, the water potential is lower than the stem, and in the stem the water potential is higher than the leaves. So the most lower water potential is in the leaves. And why in the leaves the water potential is lower? Why in the leaves the water potential is less? Because the leaves are in a state of continuous transpiration. So due to transpiration, all of the water that is present in the leaves earlier, that is transpired. So there is no water in the leaves now. Since there is no water, they will demand the water from the stem. So the water from the stem will be transported. Now the stem is having less water concentration because it have donated its water to the leaf. So the stem will take water from the root. Similarly, the root will transfer its water to the stem. So the stem now having water, which it will transfer to the leaves. The water that is being transported to the stem from the roots will again transport it to the leaves. So finally, the root having low water concentration because it have transported all of its water to the stem and the leaf because there is a continuous state of the transpiration. So roots finally acquire water from the soil because root are having low water potential. Soil is having more water concentration. The water will move itself or automatically inside the root. Okay. So like these things, like these all things, the water keep on moving upside. Okay, due to the transpiration pull. Due to the transpiration pull, a negative water potential is generated or a lower water potential is generated outside. Means the maximum water potential is in the soil, decreased to that in the root, decreased to that in the stem, and the most decreased or the most less water potential was in the leaf. So here are some examples like eucalyptus. Okay, the eucalyptus is generally said safeda in Hindi. Sequoia semipervians, the redwood trees of the California. So in the angiosperms, the tallest plant is eucalyptus, and in the tallest plant of the world, there is a gymnosperm that is sequoia. So angiosperms, as far as the angiosperms are concerned, the eucalyptus is the longest angiosperm. So there is a diagram which we will also discuss in the particular or the validate theory for the transport. The transport of water very exactly taken place through the transpiration pull theory. Some of the idea that I have also discussed in the transpiration, the pull is generated. That pull is responsible for the pulling of water from the leaf, stem, and root. A negative hydrostatic pressure is generated, which is responsible for the transport of water. That diagram we will also discuss there. Here I'm just quickly summarizing it. That these are the roots. The roots are having minus 0.3 millipascal water potential. So it is nearer to zero. Okay, the maximum is zero. As we move down, the water potential keep on decreasing. So it's 0.3. So it is almost near to the zero. So it is maximum. Upper in the root xylem, the water potential or horizontally we are moving like this. Okay, in the soil, the water potential is 0.3. In the root xylem, it is minus 0.6. So which one is higher? You can easily guess. The soil having high water potential. Okay, minus 0.6 is lower as compared to minus 0.3 because these terms are in the minus. So the water will of course move from the soil to the root. So as a water potential gradient, the water is moving inside the root xylem. I can convey this diagram betterly from the upside. Okay, so let's just start from the upside. Upper there are the leaves. Leaves are in the continuous state of the transpiration. So due to the transpiration, the water potential in the leaves decreases because the water transpired. That's why the concentration of the water decreases. And as the water concentration decreases, the tendency of the waters to move, that is the water potential. So the water potential also decreases in the leaves. So as far as the water potential will decrease, suppose it is having minus 10 outside, minus 7 millipascals in the air. See, there is a condition. If the outer environment is not dry, if the outer environment is not having less water concentration, why would the water will move from the leaf to the outer environment? By the process of transpiration. So it is a principle of transpiration that outer environment is dry. The leaves are having water. That's why that water will move outside in the form of vapors by the process of transpiration. So the very lowest, the most lowest water potential is of the outside air. Leaf having slightly higher, minus 7 is higher than the minus 10. That's why the water leave the leaves. Okay, water chhod deta hai leaves ko. That moves outside through the process of transpiration along the water potential gradient. So the water move outside. Now leaf having low water concentration or the low water potential. Okay. So the trunk xylem or the stem having slightly higher water potential. See, minus 0.8 is slightly higher than the minus 7.0. Okay. Let me see one thing. Okay, see, there is a conclusion. You can clearly see. In the leaf particularly, we can say that water potential is 1 millipascal. Okay, not the 0.7. The airspace is having minus 7, not the 0.7. This is pardon. This I am going to correct. That was not 0.7. That is 7 pascal, 7 millipascal. So it is very higher than the stem xylem. Stem is having a value less than minus 1. they are having -7. So it is very, very higher. The water potential in the leaves is very higher, but in the cell walls, it is slightly less higher. Okay, but altogether, the leaves water potential is higher than the stem. So as far as the water potential gradient is concerned, the water will move from the stem to the leaves because stem having high water potential, leaves having low water potential due to the transpiration. The water just losses into the environment. Otherwise, leaves are also having more water until the night. But as far as the sunlight appears, the sun appears, transpiration starts, the water loses from the leaves and the leaves become less water concentrated. And due to the concentration less of the water potential also decreases there. -7 is very, very less as compared to -1 or -0.8. So stem having high water concentration, so the water will move into the leaves. So from the stem, the water moves into the leaves. Now, as far as the roots are concerned, stem has transferred its water into the leaves. So it is having less concentration of water as compared to root. Root are having more water. So the water will move into the stem easily through the water potential gradient. Now the roots are thirsty because roots have transferred all of the water to the stem. Stem itself have transferred its water to the leaves, and the leaves have been transferred its water into the environment. So it's kind of chain, and the chain is only generated due to the transpiration. If the transpiration will not occur, the leaves water will remain in the leaves. So as far as the leaves water will remain in the leaves, so there is no need for the stem to transfer its water. So that all scenario started from the transpiration. That's why I'm again repeating that transpiration is the major force or the main driving force in the transport of the water. So finally the root become thirsty. So due to the less water concentration in the roots as compared to the soil, because soil having more water concentration, the water automatically or osmotically move inside the roots. So that's why the water keep on moving and keep on transpiring and keep on transporting by the tissue xylem throughout the plant. Okay. So next we are going to talk about some theories. See, this phenomenon, the transpiration I have also explained and concluded very nicely that the main driving force is the transpiration. But if I talk about years before, when the scientists were not clear that what is the exact force that is driving the water to up to such height. Imagine a 400 feet plant that is very, very longer than your tanks in your villages or in your community or in your area. The water tanks are generally maximum 100 feet, having a height of maximum 100 feet. But if I talk about a 400 feet plant, that is very huge and that is very long. Okay. So what is the driving force? It at our houses, we use the electric energy with the electric motor that pumps out the water from our tanks to our uh, safety tanks that are present on the roofs. So for that water movement or for that water transport, we use the electric energy. But in the plants, there is no such kind of the energy present. So different kind of the views were given by the scientists that these may be region. Okay, these may be region for the transport of water up to such heights. So we will discuss the views and the theories of different scientists. Then we will conclude that what is the exact or what is the most validate theory. Although we have discussed that transpiration or the transpiration tool theory is the most accurate theory for the uplifting or the transport of water, but still we will discuss the different theories that are given by the different scientists. We will also discuss that which of the theories are correct, which of the theories are justified, and justified in which ways, which of the theories could be rejected and why they are rejected in many ways. Okay, so we will discuss all them in detail, the opinions of the different scientists. So let's just discuss them all. So let's just name those theories. Some of the theories were called vital theories, in which the scientists believed that the living components of the living cells in the xylem, and we all know that the living cells in the xylem are only the parenchyma. Fiber, trachea, and vessels are all dead. Some scientists believe that the parenchyma cells, they are living and they show some kind of the activity. Maybe that may be a pumping or that may be a pulsation. Okay, like like we can say the cells in the lungs. Okay, they keep on pulsation. So that kind of the activity, scientists believe that they also occur in the plant, and due to the pump due to the pumpation or the pulsation, the water keeps on moving due to the osmotic gradient or the water concentration gradient. So some scientists believe that there is a role of living cells, not the dead cells like vessels and tracheids. Okay. Although we know that the only driving force is the transpiration, other things are only the structures. There is no roles of the living or the dead cells. Even if there will be artificial pipe in the plant, the water will surely transport by the process of transpiration because the concentration gradient is the only force. If the concentration is keep on lowering outside or upper side, so the water will keep on moving upside. Okay, concentration जैसे जैसे घटता रहेगा, water will keep on moving. Soil is having maximum water concentration, root is having lesser, stem is having lesser, and the leaf having very lesser. That's why water keep on moving. Some scientists give the theories, physical forces theories. Okay, physical properties of the water like imbibition, capillary action, okay, and the transpiration, cohesion, addition, these all things. The cohesion and addition is also physical properties. Okay, and they are also justified. The cohesion and addition are responsible forces that helps in the transport of the water. Okay, that we are going to discuss in this theory, transpiration pull theory, whenever we are going to discuss. That is the most important theory, transpiration pull theory. There is the another theory, that is root pressure theory. Okay, there generates a pressure during the night time in the root. This pressure is generated due to the active absorption. Active absorption, we all know that occur during the night time. We all know that. Why it is active? Because the root cells expenditure their energy and they acquire solutes or the water. That all we have discussed, osmotically and non-osmotically. Means they are taking the water by expending their energy. Okay, so that active absorption leads to the root pressure, because that water that is being absorbed by the active absorption, that becomes, kind of excess mass inside the plant, because during the night there is no transpiration, so that water will be stored during complete night. So if that water is too much, that will be exuded out of the plant from the leaves. Okay, that is called guttation. You know that there are pores, that those are called hydrothoids, which are present on the margins of the leaves. So through them the excess water is exuded out, and that can be seen in the morning in the form of the drops or the dew drops. Not to be confused with the dew. That is not the dew. That is the drops of the water that is being arises due to the active absorption of the root pressure. So these are some theories that we are going to discuss in the upcoming lectures. So I think these are the basics for the transpiration and the transpiration pull theory. Okay, this is the main force for the transport of water, the main driving force for the transport of water. Next time we are going to conclude these theories, the vital, physical, and root pressure theories. As I told you earlier, the living components were believed to be pumping for the water upside. Those theories we will study in the vital theories. Okay, in the vital theories, there are two important theories that we are going to discuss in the upcoming lectures. One is the pulsation theory that is being given by the Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose. Jagdish Chandra Bose was Indian scientist. They are very nice physicists, chemists, as well as plant physiologists. So they are all-rounder. They suggested the pulsation theory, although this theory was rejected due to somehow reasons that we will also discuss in the upcoming lectures, that why this theory is not justified or why this theory is rejected. But that was a nice initiative by Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, the Indian scientist. Another theory that we will study will be the relay pump theory. So the Godlewski in the 1980s suggested that there are some cells, okay, that shows the pumping activity. Means from parenchyma to parenchyma of the xylem, the water keep on pumping through the osmotic concentration or through the water potential gradient. Suppose this is a parenchyma cell. Wait, let me draw it. Suppose this is the parenchyma cell, this is the upper one, this is the next upper one, this is the upper one. Okay, if the water potential is higher here, lower here, so water will automatically move. So they suggested that as we keep on increasing upside, the water potential concentration is very less. Okay, and at below it is very higher. So it keep on pumping the cells. Only the living cells play a role in this. They suggested that. Okay, no driving force like transpiration or nothing else. Okay, other than other components, other than these parenchyma are vessels, tracheids. So they said that they are only the reservoir. They are having abundant water. They will keep on transferring water to parenchyma, and the parenchyma keep on moving upside the water. So they rely just on the parenchyma cells, mean the living components. But there is no such kind of the activity that can be seen, because parenchyma just play a role in the partial conduction as well as the support of the xylem. The main role, okay, the main pathway, not the role, the main pathway are the vessels and tracheids through which the water is transported, and the main force is transpiration, not the living components. So both of the vital theories were rejected. That we will discuss next time in detail. So I think that's all for today. Have a nice day.